Thank you so much. Austin, Texas, South by Southwest, how you guys doing? Yeah. Can we get a huge round of applause for Heather and Juice Consulting, this whole team that has put together the first ever Space House here at South by Southwest. You all are unbelievable. This free event for the community learning about space. And today we have astronaut Sara Sabry here to share about achieving the impossible dream, going from Cairo to space and then back down on Earth to make an amazing impact. So again, my name is Ari Eisenstat, coming in from Hawaii, Honolulu right now, where I had the opportunity to teach human spaceflight at the University of Hawaii, and also chair the board of advisors of Space for Humanity that helped send Sara to space. And then I also am a partner with IMXP, where we produce these immersive space technology, music, art events, and are so happy to be able to support this. So, Sara, I would love for you to start and share about your journey, how you got started in achieving this impossible dream that you made possible, becoming the first Egyptian to go to space, the first woman from the continent of Africa to go to space, and so many other firsts. But really, such a unique and amazing inspirational leader. We're so excited to be able to dive in. So start thinking of your questions as we talk about Sara's journey and now what she's working on. And we have a special announcement towards the second half of our talk. But Sara, tell us about your background, where you're from, and what growing up in Cairo was like for you, and what inspired you to want to go to space.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Ari, for everything. And thank you, Heather, and everyone for having us here. It's such an incredible event. This is so it's my first South by Southwest as well, so it's really exciting. Yeah, my journey was quite unconventional. I grew up in Egypt. In Egypt, we have a space program, but it's very small, and we don't have a human spaceflight program. And I grew up in Egypt, and I was always kind of like the odd person that, I wanted to do mechatronics engineering, and I did that. But in doing that, I was told that it would be too hard for someone like me, and that I shouldn't do it. When I wanted to do biomedical engineering, because I wanted to understand the relationships between the human body and the engineering, and how we solve problems a little bit differently. I used to break apart toys and try to put them back together. My parents would be very upset about it, but they let me do it too because it's how we learn. So I liked breaking things. And when every time I kind of like tried to like dream about something, it was almost like I wasn't allowed to do this, just because and I completely understand that as well. It doesn't come from it's not ill intention to be told to be realistic. It's a fear of the unknown, and people typically want you to reach for something that's achievable. And but for me, I thought there was always something else out there. I thought there was something bigger. There's so much out there that we're able to do ourselves. And so I studied mechatronics, double minored in biology and chemistry, did pre-med, did my master's in biomedical engineering. Throughout this journey, I worked on a Formula 3 car, so if anyone is a fan of motorsports, I'm too. So I kind of dabbed into different things, and after my master's, I worked in robotic surgery for a little bit, in stem cell research, making organoids and things like this. Then I worked at a tech startup in Berlin, working on augmented reality. Did that for a bit too, and then things started changing a little bit. I went through this existential crisis. I had all the questions about the world, about everything, and I'm sure a lot of us here in the room have probably gone through an experience like this, to really try to understand where we're coming from, what this all means. How many times have we asked ourselves, what is the meaning of all of this? And questioning things. And that, for me, as an obsessive person and as an action-oriented person, I had to find a solution. It's such a hard problem to tackle, because there's no solution that we can find that we have right now. It's just so much uncertainty, and it's so far, we're so far to have any of these answers. And the more research I did in this area, the more I realized we don't have the technology to be able to even start pursuing these. And this is how it started for me. It started from these questions, and for me, what brought me peace, or brought me at least for me, the solution would be that humanity has to become multiplanetary. And if we are multiplanetary, we'll be able to have these answers finally. And I knew that I might not be able to reach these answers before, in my lifetime, but at least I'm doing everything I can to get there. And that gives me peace. At least I'm if you're doing everything that you possibly can, there's nothing more that we can do. And that to me was how I started getting interested in the space field to start.
And how did you hear about Space for Humanity and this opportunity to go to space?
It's a funny story. So when I made that decision, I was working still. I started a company because when I wanted to be a part of the field and wanted to work on it, having an Egyptian passport is very limiting in that we can't really apply to any of the opportunities that exist. And it didn't really make sense. I believed that I qualified on paper, but then I started speaking to a lot of people from NASA, from here, from there, and they were struggling also with hiring people, just because there are laws that exist that prohibit, like hiring foreign nationals. And I thought, but hey, like, wouldn't we be farther along if we were able to didn't have that limitation? Why do we have to start over whenever we have a problem? And instead of, like, why are we reinventing the wheel every time when we can hire people from different parts of the world that are able to have a different perspective, that have targeted solving problems with limited resources or different educational curriculums, different this diversity of working on a problem is so important. And so for me, I decided, okay, I'll do something about this. I started a nonprofit, and what we do is we're trying to increase access in the space fields by providing opportunities in research and education. And since then, we've been able to provide opportunities for over 300 people from 60 different countries. Worked on a lot of publications, a lot of research. And it goes to show that if you give someone the opportunity, just the foot in the door, they can create magical things. And every year after year, I'm constantly surprised by the quality of work that comes out of it. So while doing that, I decided that, okay, if the opportunity comes one day, I knew that I would end up going to space, but I didn't know how and I didn't know when. I can't apply to any of the programs that exist, so better be ready for it. So I made the decision to spend all my savings, to put everything on the line, to train as an astronaut. I started doing a lot of the research, traveling here, traveling there, did an analog mission in Poland, became the first Egyptian woman to do that, spent 2 weeks in isolation, did a lot of research there. I did another type of training also with like hypoxia, a lot of the trainings that NASA astronauts go through. And after doing the research and starting the company, and really, I remember it was from 4:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. every single day with 2 hours to shower, eat 2 meals, and just, like it was a very, very intense period. And one night, while doing my research, in the evening, I sat down. I think it was pretty late, which is not typical for me to stay up late also. But I saw this one post on LinkedIn that said Citizen Astronaut Program application open. And I was like, okay, well, why not? I'll just apply. And I remember I messaged a friend of mine on LinkedIn, and I was like, haha, lol, imagine if one of us gets selected. Ha ha ha, lol. And then, I applied after many, many months. A lot of people apply, I believe between 10 and to 12,000 people apply. And I got selected and went sent to space.
Amazing. And so Space for Humanity gives out these, let's hear for that. So Space for Humanity gives out these scholarships for people to go to space, to experience the overview effect. They sent the first Mexican-born woman to go to space, the oldest astronaut, Ed Dwight, black astronaut candidate, first black astronaut candidate, first mother and daughter to go to space. What has it meant for you to go to space and represent all these unbelievable firsts, get to come back down to Earth and be this envoy of humankind, as the Outer Space Treaty calls it? How does it feel coming back down after that experience?
I think immense gratitude and also a huge responsibility. So it's a lot of things. I think like I take it very seriously too, to have been able to do something like this. And the first thing I said when I came back was everyone has to be able to experience this. And for me, it just really doesn't make sense that our passports could be limiting. The way we're born could decide whether your life is of this value or of that value. Like, so there's so much that comes with it that the overview effects, I'm sure like if a lot of us here have heard about that term before with Space for Humanity. So it's a project to really analyze what that means. Analyze what that means on you as a person, analyze what that means with the actions that you take, the risks that you take, the meaning of when we remove this kind of veil from, and we see things for what they really are. And it took me a while to really try to understand what that meant or what that felt like. And as an engineer, it just drove me crazy not knowing like how that feels. And actually one day, I remember I was on a train ride in Colorado, and I was just sitting there listening to some music just on the train, random, super random. And I was looking out the window, and there was just a lot of grass and a lot of, it's kind of like, just in nature. And it all clicked for me. I had to pause. I had to take out my headphones, took out my phone, and started writing things down, because it just felt like it clicked. It felt like my reality was broken. It felt like, but wait, like I don't know why I imagined, but at the time I visualized holding Earth in my hand and shaking it, and that everything would fall but the oceans and the trees and the grass, that everything was extra, and that Earth was its own living being. And that changed things for me. And it's so weird to like think that you're holding Earth in your hand and you're shaking it, right? Like it doesn't really make any sense. But that's kind of like how it felt for me. And it just completely shifted what I think about the world. It's completely shifted how I take my risks, completely shifted, you know, we are told things when we're growing up. We're told to follow rules. We're told to not be opinionated, to be pleasant, to like accept, be content with what you have, like all of that. And it's good to be content, but boy, like fighting and struggling is a lot more rewarding. I think it's just, and I continue to do that, and it's just, and having done something like this, it breaks your understanding of things are possible. Like if someone like me, was able to go to space and to be one of less than, at the time, one of less than 70 women to have ever done that since the beginning of humanity, one of less than 600 and something at the time as well. Now there's more to have ever gone to space, to have ever left Earth. Like what is the meaning of all of this? It's almost like, well, everything that we know is not true. Everything that, like, all of these restrictions and limitations that we think we put on ourselves or society puts on us, they actually don't exist. And once you realize that, or like, oh wow, then like things are different. And then ever since, I came back, and I'm very grateful to be, in rooms that I'm in, and to have that access to really sit and listen to how decisions about the world are being made with world leaders, or at the UN, at the World Economic Forum, and like these places where decisions are being made about the world, and really be able to listen to how it's done. It's another like veil that was removed, and you then understand, but wait, like most of us don't know what we're doing. And it's about like trying. And the thing is, we always tend to think, and that's something that also, like with my friends here, like we always talk about too, is that we always think we're farther along than we are. And that was the thing for me when I started my company. It's that we always think that we're farther along, and especially in the space field and the healthcare field and all of the fields, we assume that we're farther along. We assume that the system is done correctly from the start. But the problem is that these systems were built like one after another. So the beginning of these systems might not have been built for the layers that were added onto it. So, and then we never actually go back to fix the root cause of what's causing like these errors in the system. And I think like it's all about taking a step back, and from the space field, from going to space, it allows you to take a step back always. For me, whenever I'm working on a project, designing something, before my meetings, all of it, like I try to, put it into perspective. Where is this in the map of everything? And everything is intertwined. We always tend to think that everything is separate, but it's really not. It's really, really not. And everything is doable. I think we go into things being intimidated by like, oh, this is very hard. Nothing. Honestly, nothing is hard. Like it sounds a little bit, but it is true. Everything is like you can break every problem. You can address every problem. Everything is breakable, and everything can be done like in a way that is. And it's not about doing things better. It's about doing things differently. We need to disrupt a little bit, and this is where I come into play a little bit here, kind of messing things up a little bit.
So inspiring, and I'm really excited to get into the problems that you are solving. But first, would love if you could walk us through your space flight. What was this mission profile like on the New Shepard rocket? Can you walk us through this feeling of going to space, of seeing the Earth from above? Can you paint that picture for us, please?
Yes, of course. It's unlike anything. So For me, as an engineer, I thought that the overview effect depended on the duration of the flights. I went on a suborbital flight, and I went to this like with an open mind, went into this thinking, okay, how is it really gonna change your brain? Because if you think about it, we haven't biologically evolved to experience this. We've never been outside of Earth, and it's not only just what you're seeing because you can watch videos and you never have that effect. You can't really get this change in perspective from looking at a video or a picture. And it's so different because imagine yourself if you've ever gone hiking and you reach the mountaintop and you take a picture. It has nothing to do with the view. You don't see the movements of the clouds. You don't see the different lights, the flickers. Like you don't see also the struggle that's for you to get up there. And the feeling of the struggle to getting up and then reaching there plays a part in what you see. And so your traumas, your journey, all of it plays a part in how you receive that moment. And with Space for Humanity, they did such a great job at training us psychologically before going. So it's not only physical, it's a lot of psychological training too that we have to go through. And the letting go part of making peace with death, making peace with whatever comes, I think that's a big part of, being so open to receiving what it would actually be like. And so it was I was so ready for it and I was so excited for it, but also for me I'm always on autopilot kind of. I'm always I have to get things done, and it was a very, very crazy time. So it was really like like a lot of us in this room probably like a huge workaholic. So we have to work a lot, and there's very little time for us to actually sit down and appreciate things, or sit down and kind of absorb what's actually happening. So for me, it was the same thing when I got the news, and it was also that it was like, okay, I have to do all of this, and I have to get this done, and so and so when it did happen, it was I was so ready for it. I get asked a lot the question of whether I was scared, or I really wasn't at all. I remember that morning when we the morning of the launch. You want launch in the morning, so we had to take a car ride with Rivian actually. We took a car. Shout out to Rivian. We took a car ride to the launch pad, and that was the first time that I saw the rockets alive on the launch pad. And for me, that was one of the most memorable moments of my life, because I think as someone who's very action oriented, I don't think I had processed what was about to happen until that moment. I don't think I ever told you that story, no. And it was that moment, only that moment, right before the launch, that I realized that I was going to space. And that's kind of oh wait, I'm going. And it was just kind of time stopped. And everything after that was, this anticipation of, wait, it wasn't anxiety. And it's, you think about if you're closing your eyes and you're thinking about going on a roller coaster, you can get yourself to feel this anxiety, right? This excitement, but it wasn't that. It's so strange to say. I was very calm. I was very ready. I was very this is happening, and I just have to be present. I just have to be there. And I think when you're sitting on that, on the capsule chair, before I got the call, a really long time actually, a couple years before I got the call, I used to go to bed every single night, closing my eyes and seeing myself in the capsule. I used to visualize myself, close my eyes, feel the harness on my chest, feel the vibration from the launch. I used to do that again and again and again and again. That was my therapy almost. And I had never heard about manifestation or visualization. Those weren't words that I was using. I was doing it just because that gave me peace, because I knew that I was trying to do something that was impossible. And you're told that. And I was almost embarrassed to tell anyone. So when I went to space, actually, no one knew that I was even attempting it. Because I'm not someone who really talks about what they're doing. I just do them. And so that was a huge part of it too, where I imagined this. I'm sitting in that chair and I'm strapped in, and you're just waiting for mission control to give you the go. And we're just sitting there, and it's a long time. You wait for a long time. You could wait hours, but you don't feel that. And it just felt like nothing. Just sitting there, and when I watched the video, actually, I'm just surprised. I'm just sitting there, not doing anything, just smiling. It's almost a little bit creepy to sit there, but it's just you're there and you're present, and time is just not. I don't know. Time is really weird sometimes, because some of sometimes it feels slow, sometimes it feels fast, and it's a very weird concept. And then you're sitting there, and then you get go, 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 and then you like check on every crew member, and then you have countdown, and then the rocket becomes fully autonomous, and yeah, then you have liftoff, you have the countdown, and then you lift off, and very quickly when you look out the window, the ground just disappears very quickly. It's a lot faster than we think, and then you're lifting up, and the colors of the sky change really quickly as well. The only thing that tells you that you've reached space is the change of colors, and it's so weird to even think about that because, like, visually, our eyes tend to sometimes, trick us. So you kind of like question, is it a trick from my eyes right now, or is it like, am I actually seeing what I'm seeing? And then you see the sky go from light blue to dark blue to purple and then black, just instantly. And this is when you know you're in space. And then you have that was just like that was insane to see the blackness. And then of course like you have your checks, you have to do everything, and then of course microgravity is an incredible experience. We had like our plan to do, we had like a few things that we had to do, and yeah, no, seeing Earth is the most surreal experience. It's there's so many movements and there's so much light that comes out of it that like you can't really see in a picture or video. It's the movement of the clouds. And also one part of it that was so shocking too is this very thin blue line. It's so bright. It's so bright. Like we don't see it the same way in pictures. I have a picture also from that view, and it's not that, and it's incredible. It's incredible. And like it's all of it, like, and then you realize that everyone that you've ever known, everything that you've ever known in the whole world, you've just left it. And it's a different kind of leaving it too. And yeah, it changes everything. It changes the scale of the world when you look at this blackness and there's no actual border for it at all. When you look back at Earth, like, of course, we all know that the map, like the lines on a map don't exist. But when you see it, like, it really doesn't, you have a lot of trouble also like seeing like anything because it's all land and it's all water. Like you don't see actually, and it's, I remember like someone, Kelly from the mission, he was like, oh, like I wish we could see like a map on our screens to like know where was what, because you don't actually see, and it's just, yeah, it changes you. It really does, and it changes everything. It breaks your reality. This is the best way that I can put it. It breaks it. It just, and I think we all have to, and I mean, we don't all have to want to go to space, but my guess here, like most of the people in this room are interested in space since we're in the space house, but it is something that we need to make more accessible. We need to make it so that we're all able to see our Earth, because Earth belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to only a select few. And the fact that this it's so hard to get to, the fact that only a very few people can go, the opportunities are limited, and even the opportunities that exist are so hard to get to. It's just, we need to change that. We need to, and this is where the commercial industry is really coming and really making that change and pushing it forward and really trying to, have it belong to all of us, just the way it should be.
Love that. How thrilling. How many of you want to go to space? How many of you want to have this experience? Yeah, pretty universal.
I do.
All right, let's get there. So,
I want to get not just to space, but to Mars.
Right?
Like, that's for, how do you say, is there going to be a Q&A?
Yes. So think of your questions. Okay, you're first. Okay. So as a company that aspires to have events in space, I'd love to ask about the human connection side. We're hosting these events for total solar eclipses, and our philosophy is that the next best thing to seeing the Earth from space is seeing a total solar eclipse. So this is not a lunar eclipse, it's not an annular, it's not a partial, but you are able to take your glasses off, you're able to see the corona, see the stars come out. This is what allowed Einstein to prove his theory of relativity and to see the bending of the light of the stars. And I feel like the ability for us on Earth to have that overview effect. And in the age of AI, in the age of these virtual reality experiences, coming together and having these human connections is so important. It's why you flew from Cairo. It's why I flew from Honolulu. What does it mean for you to take humanity with us to space, to have these human connections together and celebrate not only the technology, but the art and the music together as well?
I mean, sending a large number of people to space is, the goal, because you want to be able to build communities there. You want to be able to build a civilization there. This is kind of like the goal of the commercial space industry, is just really becoming multiplanetary, creating this new civilization. And definitely there's a lot with human connection, of course. We were just in Egypt a couple months ago. Actually, like, there's a few people here too that were there. And we had such a great time, and a part of it too was this human connection, this coming in with intention, coming in with purpose, coming in with wanting to contribute in a way, and also kind of like it's about being able to see what we can provide, and like it's just building this like genuine connection with people, which we're really missing. I think we're definitely missing that. I think we're all very focused on doing and go and living in our bubbles. And I think breaking those bubbles and growing that bubble a little bit, I think that's really, really important. And I really would love to do one of those in space for
Let's
sure.
do it.
Count me in.
And can't wait to hear you talk more about this in Iceland and Egypt and New Zealand and beyond. And around those human connections, I want to talk about space healthcare. And this is a South by Southwest exclusive announcement for the launch of your company, KORA. Can you tell us about this new space technology company and what is the mission of KORA?
Yes, thank you so much. So yes, this is the first official public announcement, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is very, very exciting. We've been working on this for a long time. So now you have a lot of companies that are building infrastructure for space. You have companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin building rockets to get to space. You have a lot of companies that are building rovers to explore the surface of the moon. You have companies building data centers. You have companies that are utilizing satellite imagery to be able to benefit Earth, resources here, there, everything. But what are we lacking here? There's a human operator in all of this that is not really being taken care of as much as they should. So this is where we come in. We are building the health intelligence layer to help expand humanity's civilization. So we are basically like really being that person and that company that is addressing that issue in all of these companies. Because now we're building space stations, we're replacing the ISS, we're doing all of this. And in healthcare, even on Earth right now, it's really struggling because we're very reactive. We're not able to predict things before symptoms appear. When symptoms appear, it's typically a little bit too late. And what we have to have too is not have it completely probabilistic. LLM is really, really strong, it's very great, but it's a different type of intelligence where we don't even understand why it's making these decisions. And in healthcare, it's really critical. We can't really just depend completely on LLMs and completely on a probabilistic approach that's creating correlations between data that's coming from populations. So it's not really gonna work too much in healthcare. I think we just need to be a lot more further along for us to get there. So we have a different approach. So we have a hybrid intelligent approach, which we're combining knowledge and logic reasoning in combination with machine learning as well to have a different type of intelligence that is explainable, auditable, really understand how it's happening, understand where it's coming from. It's modular as well, so you can actually break it apart and really kind of like see if you want to focus on this part more than this part. So it's applicable on Earth as well. So we're addressing the mining operator industry in Australia, and we're hoping to speak to also operators for energy, for offshore, for like activities that are really mission critical, safety critical. And then we go from basically predicting, detecting, decision support, and then hopefully like in the coming years really be able to have better adaptation. We have support for medical optimization. So it's really kind of it's a problem that exists, and we've gotten so lucky so far that, but it doesn't mean, so for example, if you have I'm not gonna get into that, but like we've gotten so lucky at not having accidents so far, but it doesn't mean that we're ready for it. It doesn't mean that we're prepared for it. And even just recently, we had an evacuation from the ISS, and luckily they were able to stabilize the person and get him back in time. But imagine if we're on the moon, imagine if we're on Mars, that's going to be completely impossible. And the cost is not only financial, it's really civilizational, because if something happens and that we were able to predict, that we were able to have support for, it undermines the confidence in an entire industry and the whole industry that's projected to reach $1.8 trillion in 2035. And then you have the whole industry that is the predictive health industry. It's a huge market as well. And we're predicting that it's going to provide a value of $860 billion by 2030. So it's very close. We're in 2026, but we don't have the solution for it yet. We're not able to validate the research that we've been working on for 20 years. There's a lot of research being done, but always, whenever if anyone is an academic here and if you're reading publication, you always have to state, oh, it's limitation because it hasn't been validated, limitation because this. But well, let's do it then, And this is where KORA comes in and addresses this huge gap where we're actually doing it then. And
I want to say you're changing the world, but you're changing more than the world with this. So this is so inspiring. And we heard about your story. Could you share also about your co-founder in this project? And what is your vision together? What does success look like for changing health technology?
Yes, of course. Yeah, my co-founder is an incredible. She's one of the most knowledgeable people in the field. She was NASA's former chief scientist for their human research program. So she really understands down to the protocol level what it takes to really be able to prepare for missions like this. She's worked with most of the commercial industries right now. She understands that there are so many things that happen in the human body physiologically that can indicate something going wrong way before it happens. But it's not correlation based here. So it's not just finding a pattern and then detecting it. But there are things that we can measure that will allow us to connect that. But the problem is these connections don't exist. So I think a big revolutionary part of KORA is that we're building hopefully this is what we're working on, is building the relationships between the different physiological mechanisms in the background, which if we have that, we solve everything. If we have that, we change the entire healthcare industry completely. Because right now, we don't have that. And we're constantly building more and more companies, more and more predictive health, but we don't have this. We don't have the relationships yet. So by working on this and by building the knowledge, by testing it out together, and by applying it in extreme environments where we can't afford being risked. And I think a conversation I was having earlier too is we need the pressure. I think as human beings, we need to be able to be put to the test. And for us as a company, for me and Jen, we care so much about this being done right, and for this so we are there for the challenge. We are there to look at the performance. It has to be done right. There's a lot of promises. I mean, I don't want to but there's a lot of companies out there doing things, and they're doing really, really great things, and we're here to kind of push a little bit forward as well.
And so now, as we are now public with KORA at this launch, how can people get involved? What would it be like for investors, for stakeholders, for companies? How can a person get involved in this?
Yes, so we are opening our first round in next week. So it will be open for a very short period of time. So if you're interested in investing, we are raising now. We're looking for partners also on the ground. So it could be in biotech industry just to help us, in the next stages, but more so in industries where you have operators that have high consequences. From their actions, basically. What I mean by that is an operator that is working in a mining pit, or an operator that is working on offshore and energy and things like this, where a mistake has big consequences. Because a mistake can be avoided if it's related to different things that we can detect. So I hate using the word fatigue. So, and there's a lot of things that claim to detect fatigue, but it's not a straightforward metric that we can say, oh, you have fatigue like this. a few layers that have to be measured. A person has to be baselined. A person cannot be compared to a population. They have to compare it to their own nominal level. So it's so layered, but it's honestly, we believe that it is very doable, and the time is now. If we don't do this within, honestly, this year, we're gonna be too late. I think we're at the brink of, well, we're sending out the next space station. We're really like, we're starting to build infrastructure. And if we wait until we send those and have those, we'll be way too late. We won't have it ready by then, and it will be the cost of one thing going wrong could really threaten the whole industry. I don't mean to sound like too grim about it, but it is very critical that for us to really address this issue right now, and we're almost too late. Like for me, like it's really we're right there, and we finally have enough, both knowledge, or at least like we finally have some knowledge that is that could get us there, and we finally are at a point where, with the industry, it's just moving so fast, and we're finally capable of achieving those really big, insane goals. We're right there. So it's very, it's honestly, I think we're very lucky to be living in a period where it's not too early, and like it's right there, but it's like it's closing. So we're really interested. So if you're an investor, if you're a partner, if you work in one of these industries, if you know of, in space for sure, we're definitely looking for partners. We're definitely looking for we're gonna open up our rounds.
What's the best way to connect with you? LinkedIn or?
LinkedIn, email. I can leave also. I can maybe like write down my email somewhere, and and I'll be around.
There also. All right, so start thinking of your questions. We're about to open it for questions, but my last question for you is along these lines of having so many challenges. What is your vision for the future of humanity in space? What is the best case scenario as we become multiplanetary? And how would you like that to impact Earth and all the conflict and the challenges that we're facing here as a species? Can you paint that picture for us about what is your vision for our future ahead?
That's a really good question, Ari. There's a few parts to it, right? I think right now, everyone knows what's going on in the world, and it's a really, it gives us a lot. It puts a lot of doubt into humanity too. Like so, I think like just like everyone, I've gone through like these doubts. I've gone through like all of these, questions about everything, like how, and it's really, we're trying to like, okay, how can we do things differently? How can we do things better? Like we need to learn from our mistakes. We need to learn from the things that are going on. We need to learn from, okay, how do we do things better? How do we strive for looking forward? Because there's, for me especially, like it's hard to focus on something that's so out there when there's so much going on here. But if we don't focus on this, we won't be able to solve this, unfortunately, because this is what gives us, hope of doing things differently, of doing things better, of taking that technology. A big part of KORA, a big part of what we do is we want to take back all of this and actually apply it to Earth. There's so much technology that's been developed for space that we can easily bring back to Earth, but like someone has to be, to open this up, to open up that market, to really talk about it, that these things exist, that they can be done, and we've developed so much. And space is such a unique environment where things are done quickly. There's no infrastructure that the system allows us to test things out, because there are not the regulations that exist on Earth. All of the process of getting a technology out is not the same. So we're able to experiment much faster. We're able to test things out much faster. Biologically, things happen much faster in space. You have muscle atrophy, you have bone demineralization, you have a lot of issues that happen in space that, like we can test things out there and bring them back to Earth. This is not typical. This is not really what we do at KORA, but this is one of the ways that when we think about space, when we look at space, well, maybe like I would encourage also you guys here to think about how you can bring it back, and maybe kind of like have one project where you speak to a local partner on the ground, one company that is working on a similar problem, because it's all about the problem. It's not about the solution. Like look at the problem. Can your technology solve that? Since you're working in the space field, can your technology solve that little piece? And having just one team even work on it and start exploring it, it could really solve a lot of the issues that we have. here on Earth. So it's so related. They're not separate. Earth is in space. It's not. We're there, and humanity is gonna become multiplanetary. And it's just about what can we do to make sure that it's done with with humanity in mind and not.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, I'm gonna run around. If you have a question, put your hand up, and I'll come take a few questions, and then you can have a closing statement. So start thinking of your question.
Okay. Three questions, one of which is a concern of mine. First of all, do you have any idea whether or not there's? I'm looking at. Today's my 36th birthday, and I'm
Happy birthday.
Thinking about next decade. I'm becoming an astronaut, a Mars pioneer sometime in my 40s through the European Space Agency and through France. And I wonder, do you know, one of the things that need to, be addressed is ensuring there is no such policy that says neurodivergents are all blanket one-size-fits-all banned from going to space or the moon or Mars, and let people, neurodivergents, be, I want to be the first neurodivergent in space, and especially first Mars pioneer, and that's one. And number two, do you have any idea whether going online college, because astronauts require college degrees, can you finish your necessary college degrees online, or does it have to be physically on campus, number one? And number two, is there like really an rigid upper age limit that says, much like grocery store labels that say to buy tobacco and alcohol nowadays, you have to be 21 years of age, born on or before today's date in such and such whatever year that's been 21 years since in a given year? I'm concerned, is there a policy like that, but the opposite, like that says, that NASA or the European Space Agency have, that says you have to go to Mars or Mars Pioneer, you have to be born on or after today's date in a given year, and those born on or before any given year are born too early and then too old, and those are my concerns and questions.
They're good questions. Thank you. Any other quick questions? Yes.
Wait, I thought there were.
She's gonna answer them all in a closing statement. I'm gonna get everyone's questions.
This comes more from a place of curiosity. Space and the industry is an industry where we're required to make decisions on not a lot of data, whereas the medical industry is an industry that requires you make decisions on a tremendous amount of data. And how are you bridging that gap and making conclusive decisions when we've only sent like 900 people to space? They've all been incredibly healthy. How do you decide how the average person is going to react to a medical situation in space?
Excellent question. One more?
I will take the question.
Yes.
I won't remember them.
Okay, well, I'll repeat them.
Do you want to go on a Virgin Galactic flight or a NASA flight? What's your next journey into space?
Okay.
Thank you. No, thank you for these are really, really great questions. I'll answer them in order. And so I think diversity is the most... Neurodiversity, yes. I think it's really, really important to, I think in teams and exploring things and solving problems, having neurodiversity, any type of diversity, honestly, is really, really valuable. It's a superpower. Because I think you would bring something to the table that everyone else wouldn't.
Yeah,
and that's...
By neurodiversity, I mean autism, autism,
yes.
high functioning autism,
Yeah.
which is E,
yes.
and ADHD, which is similar, that sort of thing.
Yes, I understand.
Rather than, like in Disney's Mulan, when, that said women and girls not allowed in the military in Imperial China, then she got sent, boys will gladly go to war for
Yeah.
No, not.
And,
Yes,
and we can talk more also after, but want to let you finish the
Yeah.
thought, please.
No, yes, I completely understand, and that's exactly what I mean as well.
And
Yes, it's
no blanket
Yeah.
category, one size fits all bans.
yes. No, I completely understand that. I think it's important to have different perspective. I think it's important to have different ways of doing things is so important as well. Like the way we think about things, the way we address things. It's really important to be a part of it. This.
Wait, well, sorry, we'll talk more after. We're short on time right now. Please.
No, I don't. What was the second question? Whether there would be.
Concerns about operation limits as low as 30 or 40. Like I said, I'm already in my mid-30s, and I'm worried that they're for Moon and Mars. They're saying like
Age and education limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a certain year and born on and say that born on or before is too early and they're too old. Like those much like schools say for kindergarten.
And I think what Sarah has also proved with going to space is that there are no limitations that anyone can go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think what we've learned is that anything is possible
Yes.
from this. Can you touch on the healthcare question?
Definitely, yes. So yes, on the healthcare question, that's a very good question. It's a very, very important one, and that's something that we're trying to tackle for sure. Because how we're doing it is a little bit different because we are targeting different industries, not only space. And if you're able to have that diversity of data, typically data from mining, data from energy, like every type of operator stays within that field and they never talk. But there are so many similarities between them. And if you have better diversity, better generalization, more robust, higher accuracy that way. So that's definitely one point. Another point is that it's now that we're sending more people that are not just from fighter pilots that have done so many medical tests, having better understanding of, and they're very personalized too. So what we can predict is very personal to you. And we would get there by building those relationships in the layer before that. And the layer before that comes with is the logic. And the layer before that comes from the knowledge gather. So if you imagine being able to gather a lot of knowledge that already exists from case studies, from staff, from here, from there, and from all of them, very targeted, not the open source ones only, because we would be applying for the Space Act agreement with NASA, so this is something that's planned for us. So having that type of data combined with the mining, combined with that, this is one of the USPs that we have. Because an aggregation of these different industries, they typically don't happen. They're very siloed. So we are unique in that we would be aggregating them to be able to have that understanding. And not only to have the understanding there, but to build the physiological mechanism relationships, which hasn't been done, which is just, and if you have that, you have everything. Then I don't want to say that, but I get too excited. So yes, but thank you. That's a really good question.
And I think I know your answer to the final question is that you'll go to space in any capacity, right? On any flight. So let's all go to space together, right?
Actually, yes, I want to add there that I like my plan is the Moon and Mars. So I do want to go to the Moon and I do want to retire on Mars. That's my.
Let's do it. Everyone, please join me in thanking astronaut Sara Sabry, founder of KORA Technologies. Thank you all so much for being here. Next year on the moon. Aloha.